Welcome everyone. My name is Sean, and today we got to talk about this situation, this viral video out of the city of Los Angeles, where somebody got their French Bulldog stolen, which apparently is actually a pattern of crime that we're going to get into a little bit later, and ended up on the hood of the vehicle of the thieves, driving down the street incredibly fast. We got to talk about this story. It is a dog mom extravaganza, but before we do, I want to say thank you to everybody who signed up over at actualjusticewarrior.com/join.
Give me the money. Give me the money. Okay?
And thank you to the podcast listeners, Spotify, Apple, and Google's podcasting platform. So while it was the viral video of a woman riding on the hood of what is likely a stolen Kia in order to get her dog back is the initial point that got me interested, it turns out that French Bulldog theft is a prominent problem across the United States, but specifically, there are very notable instances in California and in major cities like San Francisco and like Los Angeles. And the reason behind this is because French Bulldogs range in price from $1,500 all the way up to $8,000, depending on the coat color and some other factors, thus making them a very valuable target. On top of that, it's also a trendy dog. It is a dog that is loved by celebrities, and we actually may have referenced on this channel before an incident where Lady Gaga's dog walker ended up being shot. I don't think he died, and this was over the fact that people wanted to rob their two French Bulldogs. And one of the craziest things about that story, in my opinion, is that even though this guy was recovering in the hospital, Lady Gaga issued a statement saying that you could return the dogs to her, no questions asked. The guy was with bullet wounds in the hospital, and she said, if you give back the dogs, no questions asked. But again, there are many other instances of this type of crime that go on, so as we progress through this news story, I'm going to inform you about these instances, how they can get violent, and how likely California not treating these criminals with the severity that they deserve is leading to an increase specifically in that area. Now, that increase is in fact quite significant. In fact, over the past 4 years, we've seen a dramatic increase in pet thefts. They are up 140%. Again, unsurprisingly, we find an incidence of crime that are up since the Black Lives Matter riot. And like I said, French Bulldogs tend to be targeted, other high-end brands like German Shepherds, and this is just another trend in criminality that we just have to deal with, apparently, in the United States of America.
A woman clings to the hood of a speeding car in downtown Los Angeles.
As he started to go faster and faster, I started to say, I'm about to die. This is my death right now. I'm about to die.
Allie Zacharias was hanging on for dear life and the life of her beloved French Bulldog puppy, Onyx, after thieves snatched the dog in broad daylight.
It was horrifying.
Now look, I understand that being a dog mom is definitely a thing. I understand for a lot of women, specifically women without any children, that they're essentially rerouting their maternal instincts in order to protect this dog because they view it more as a child than actually an animal. In fact, one of the most famous instances of a dog mom situation had to do with Amy Cooper and Christian Cooper, the so-called Central Park Karen story, which of course was rooted in a woman going crazy after a man, while they were alone in the park, according to his own Facebook post, implied that he was going to take her dog from her as punishment for her not leashing the dog according to his whims and desires. That became one of the most notorious hoaxes, racial hoaxes in American history, at least as of recent years, and that was all rooted in the fact that Amy Cooper was a dog mom. So I'm not surprised that a woman jumped on the hood of the car in order to try and save her dog from these thieves, but again, you're risking your life for a dog, and I understand that the price of $1.5 to $8,000 is not what this is all about. It's that misplaced maternal instinct, but this woman could have died from this, and more importantly, and what I actually want to emphasize even beyond the fact that I don't want you risking your life for your dog, is that these thieves were willing to put this woman's life in danger, willing to kill her for the dog, for the profit, for $1,500 to $8,000. That's how little they valued a human life. So the criminals are obviously the worst people in this particular situation. But ladies out there, I've been going through these stories. I've been seeing what has been happening to you fighting for these little dogs that do not protect you from criminals, from thieves. And it's really tragic and it's really heartbreaking. So really, I want you to reassess what you're directing, what kind of energy you're putting into your dog, because I don't want you to be hurt or killed over an animal.
Allie had just sat down for lunch with her pup outside the Whole Foods located on Grand Avenue and 8th Street around 2:30 Thursday, January 18th.
So another thing that I want to point out is that this happened at 2:30 in the afternoon. Public street, she was out having lunch, should be a normal situation, not ripe for criminality. I'm assuming that the suspects ended up spotting the dog. The woman came up and approached the dog, grabbed the leash, and just took off with the dog right in front of this woman before she really knew what was happening.
Who's wild?
A happy and social puppy, Onyx, was sitting under the chair when a woman approached and began calling to him, then grabbed his leash.
I didn't think that somebody was stealing my dog. I thought it was a misunderstanding. So I was like, that's my dog, excuse me. And she wasn't listening, and she turned and she got right into a car. And I tried to follow her into the car, but I got in there and there were 4 people in the car.
The suspects pushed her out and locked the doors. That's when Allie jumped in front of the car and screamed for help.
Nobody came, and next thing I know, the car's driving into me, and I like basically fell onto the hood.
Now, the reason you know that this is coordinated, the reason that you know that this was part of a plan, is because the woman was able to get into a vehicle almost immediately because they likely spotted the dog, decided that they were going to commit this theft, and had this woman come out for an approach from the street, and knowing that they were going to pull up in order to do this. Now, as you likely saw, based on the viral video, this owner ends up getting in front of the vehicle starts to accelerate, and eventually she ends up on the vehicle. Now, they're going to cut to some interviews from people on the street, and honestly, this is not the kind of energy I want people putting out there over a dog, even though I think these thieves should be held accountable. I think they should go to prison because they were willing to potentially kill somebody over a quick profit. Now, for those of you who would think that maybe they're going to sell that dog to get bread for their starving family, absolutely not. These are thugs. These are criminals. These are horrible people. Make no mistake about it.
If someone stole my dog, I would probably try to kill them myself.
Harrison Pesci captured the chaos on his cell phone. He was crossing the street when he suddenly heard tires screeching and a woman screaming.
She sped off and unfortunately took this woman with her. It's devastating that someone would take someone's animal.
Look, it's great to say that you would probably try to kill somebody if they were trying to take your dog and all that, but the thing is, unless you're ready to defend yourself, unless you at least have a pepper spray on you, you're not going to be able to do that. Had this woman noticed what was going on, had she had some more situational awareness, had she had pepper spray, she could have maced this lady in the face before she was able to get the dog into the vehicle, before she was able to steal it. But unfortunately, in the state of California, your self-defense rights, while not as limited as they are in New York or in other municipalities in this country, are quite limited. So in this particular situation where you have 4 people participating in a robbery of this particular dog, it's not going to result in good results for you, even though I think a sympathetic jury likely would be on the side of the victim of the crime in this particular instance.
Suspect vehicle is described as an early 2000 white 4-door Kia Forte with a missing hubcap on the driver's front side.
So they describe the vehicle right here, and honestly, this makes me think that they're not going to lead to the capture of these particular suspects, although the woman, the victim of this crime, actually has told the media that the attention that she's gotten from this viral video has caused the police to actually investigate this, actually pull up the surveillance video, and treat this with more seriousness than they've treated other dog thefts, dog robberies, whatever you want to call them. But the fact of the matter is, Kia Forte, the suspect's makeup, makes me think that this is a stolen Kia. This is an instance of the Kia boys, or at least stealing a Kia in order to commit another crime. And it's just another great example of how not prosecuting people for things like Grand Theft Auto ends up leading to downstream other crimes, other effects. And this example ultimately almost led to the death of this woman because, again, she was on the hood of the vehicle as they were speeding off. And to me, this could all be preventable if we actually had law enforcement enforcing the laws. You think that these guys stole this Kia for the first time, or just stole this dog so casually in a coordinated way for the first time ever. They never committed another crime before. No, obviously they're going to have a criminal record. Likely, we're going to find out that they weren't sent to prison based on that new California law that says that only certain violent felonies are prison eligible, which sends them to the county jail. There's no room in the county jail, and that's likely why they're on the streets in the first place. And if not that, we're going to likely find out that Gascon, the woke district attorney funded by Soros, refused to prosecute one or some of the 4 people in this particular car, if not all of them, because that's what tends to happen in places like Los Angeles.
The woman that stole my dog was African American, as was the other 3 people in the car. They were 3 females, all overweight, and then there was a male driving, no tattoos. They're all wearing like sweats and like t-shirts.
Whoa, lady. You better calm down with the racism. 3 fat black women and a black guy driving the vehicle, possibly a stolen Kia. I am not about this description right here. This description is going against the narrative. And by the way, it's kind of funny because normally, or in a lot of cases at least, we wouldn't get a physical description of the suspects on the news if they were all black, like in this particular story. But because we have a lot of wine moms that work in local media, work in mainstream media, and they love their dogs as well, we're getting an actually accurate description of this particular situation. And it turns out that this lady, obviously an evil white racist. The dog was stolen from her as a form of reparations in this particular instance, and how dare she notice and describe these particular suspects.
Driver then peeling out of there as she grabbed onto the windshield wipers, which led to this video. And he punched through downtown LA like that for several blocks without Ali saying. Before I know it, we're going like 40 miles per hour. And later adding,
As he started to go faster and faster, I started to say, I'm about to die. This is my death right now. I'm about to die.
but eventually the car swerves, throwing her off the hood, and then speeds off with Onyx still inside, never to be seen again.
And speaking of refusing to acknowledge the description and not noticing, I actually watched Philip DeFranco's segment after I shot this segment on this particular news story, where he covered the dog theft, used clips from the KTLA segment, and interestingly enough, Philip DeFranco decided it was very important to describe the vehicle.
And as far as the dog nappers, they took off in this white 4-door Kia Forte with a missing hubcap on the front driver's side, and unfortunately their license plate appears to have been whited out.
But not run the description of the 4 suspects that you just heard, that again were in the same segment. But what really bothered me is that DeFranco finished it off by adding this.
But hopefully there's enough identifiable information that some of these scumbags get caught.
Hopefully there's enough identifying information out there, as he's not giving you all the identifying information, like the description of the suspects, like the fact that it was 3 morbidly obese women and a black male that are in this particular car carrying a French Bulldog that looks like this. You don't think that's valuable information? You're just gonna hope for more identifiable information so that you can refuse to share that with us? Again, the description is one thing, and I understand if we had a consistent policy about not describing suspects, but it's when they choose to not describe the suspects. It's what they choose to ignore, and how they not only ignore it, but then they overcompensate by saying hopefully more descriptive information will come out as they're withholding it. Great job, Philip DeFranco, refusing to describe the suspects that were willing to murder a woman over a dog. And by the way, even though the price of this dog is $4,000 to $10,000, turns out stolen dogs go for $1,000. 4 people, $250 each. That's how much they valued the life of this woman, for a $250 profit. Now, something that actually does annoy me, all joking aside, about the suspects in this particular case, is that allegedly there's surveillance video from the cameras. That's what they reveal later on in the news segment that the police have obtained, but that surveillance video is not turned over to the public, even though, again, presumably there's a manhunt and the description and the video of these people should be out there so that we could see it.
Police have obtained surveillance video from numerous cameras, enabling them to get a better look at the suspects.
Now that could change by the time that this video is released, but as of right now, I could not find that video.
They are going to follow the street cameras to try and get the rest of the license plate.
This dog mama says she loves her pup like a child and is desperate to get him back.
What did I say? What did I say about these dog moms substituting their maternal instinct with their animal right there. I mean, I didn't really think they were going to actually say it in the local news segment because I didn't watch it all the way through before shooting this video. But what did I say? What did I talk about what's going on right here? Now, like I said, beyond this particular instance, beyond this particular French Bulldog being stolen due to the high price and due to the soft on crime mentality that they have in California, these dogs are being stolen nationwide, but specifically, and I would think possibly disproportionately, maybe due to the fact that more people, wealthy people, tend to own these dogs in California. There was another instance from 2021, and again, these are all just a cursory Google search. There are more recent instances where this woman was physically assaulted, as you can see by this image here, but more interestingly, the police described this as an organized kind of attack. A highly coordinated group of sophisticated criminals committed this crime, likely were stalking this woman, waiting outside of the apartment, looking for an opportunity to steal this dog. And again, this is based on the value of the dog and based on the idea that there are no consequences in California for these kind of crimes. Now we have another incident out of Oakland, November of that same year, where a woman who was vacationing in Atlanta ended up getting a call from the person who was watching her dog back in Oakland, and at around the same time, 6 o'clock, two men head to toe in black, armed, pointed a gun at this friend and ended up robbing their French Bulldog. Now again, I just randomly pulled up these particular articles. They just happened to be, when I did a broad Google search of French Bulldog thefts, to be both Bay Area instances, but I could have pulled up Los Angeles, I could have pulled up all over the state of California specifically for this dog in order to bring you these stories so that you can understand. I legitimately just picked the two at the top, but I could just as easily be looking for more recent instances so that you guys can understand it. And again, considering the rarity of these dogs based on their price, it is very unusual to see these thefts happen. On top of that, I want to make this 100% clear. It is not just California. These kind of thefts have occurred in Florida. They've occurred across the country, but it appears, just based on a random Google search, that disproportionately they seem to be happening in California, and there seems to be some more organization behind the French Bulldog thefts over there, and more violence, by the way, or more threats of violence, as you've seen by the images and as you've seen by the viral video that started this whole journey. Look, I'm very much in the camp that dogs are not people, your dog is not your child, and all of that, but I'm also in the camp that criminals need to be held accountable for their crimes. They need to be punished. They need to face consequences, because the lack of consequences for the criminal ends up resulting in emboldened criminality. Again, this crime was committed at 2:30 in the afternoon, bright sunny day in California, right in front of this woman who was sitting down and eating at an outdoor restaurant in front of a Whole Foods. They pulled up, they grabbed the dog, got loaded into the car, and they didn't even hesitate for a second to drive down a major thoroughfare with a woman on the windshield of the vehicle because they have no fear of consequences, no fear of getting caught. On top of that, the Kia Forte that they were in is likely stolen. We know how easy it is to steal Kias, that glitch has been made public. They're being stolen across the nation, and they're being stolen in large part not because Jessica Burbank thinks they need to go to the grocery store, even though this did involve a Whole Foods, but because they use them to commit other crimes. So yeah, while I do feel bad for this woman, while I do hope she gets her dog Onyx back in the future, it is important for you guys to be aware of your situation. If you own one of these expensive dogs, understand that people are planning and trying to coordinate high-end robberies of these particular dogs because they're small, they appear to not have that much fight, and it seems to be an easy thing to be able to do because a lot of the victims happen to be women that are completely unarmed and happen to be defenseless, and this seems to be a little bit of a trend, and honestly, it would likely be more broad of a trend if not for the fact of the rarity of these dogs. But it could happen to you, it could happen with any popular, expensive dog breed, and it's something for you guys to watch out for. But hey, those are just my thoughts. Let me know your thoughts down in the comments below. If you like the video, show them by leaving a like, subscribe for more content, follow me on my social media, support me via the support links in the description of this video. This has been me talking about French Bulldog theft. Till next time.